Our next speaker for today is Dr. Mrs. Ila Manoj Dedhia. She is in charge principal IQAC coordinator, head department textiles and fashion technology at the College of Home Science, Nirmala Niketan. A recipient of many awards, she is a consultant for the government, corporates, and others on several research and income generating skills projects. She has organized national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, and so on, giving keynote addresses and authored many books and articles. She is a renowned PhD research guide for University of Mumbai and SMDT Women's University. For the last 25 years, she is doing honorary work among various NGOs for the empowerment of the youth and women through skill training. She has also introduced sustainable communities work as a practical subject in the curriculum as a composite for instilling the human values of students. Dr. Dedhia has also studied genealogy at University of Mumbai and gives talks on topics related to life from the perspective of Jainism. I invite Dr. Ilya Dedhia to speak on the role of Jainism. Over to you, Ilya ma'am.
A very good afternoon to all of you. In my words of Jainism, I would call it Jai Jinendra. Jai Jinendra means the winner of self. And Jinendra are the ones who have won themselves, who have achieved victory over self. So when I say Jai Jinendra, I am wishing each of you all Jai Jinendra because each of you who are present right now have the capacity, have the full capacity to also realize yourself and to achieve moksha, that is to achieve the final liberation. So I'm also saying Jai to all of y'all and Jai to the Jinendras who have already achieved it. I would just like to begin my topic thanking my dhanyavad to to Father Peter de Cruz, who has been able to invite me here, who has linked me over here, and it was destined that we would all meet, and probably that's why I am here. We are all co-explorers, you and me. We are all learning and we are all growing in our way in exploring the truth, in exploring what is the ultimate reality for which we are all here. So, how does Jainism contribute to the nation building? That was the topic that was given to me from the perspective of Jainism. I would just like to say that Jainism is based on, as all of you all know, ahimsa parama dharma. It is based on ahimsa, that is non-violence. And non-violence is of thoughts, words, and deeds. When we say thoughts, it includes anekantvad, which means that everyone, each soul has their perspective to everything, to the truth, and therefore respect each other. So anekantvad is where we are listening to different perspectives. Like Dr. Adil just mentioned, one perspective. There are innumerable perspectives to reaching the ultimate reality and for building the nation. And I'm so very happy that this institution, this organization has thought about the nation at a very, very appropriate time when there is so much of crisis all around due to the pandemic and even otherwise. I would just like to say the points from Jainism that Jainism gives its importance to the individual, to the jeev, that is to the life, individual life, which considers it to be the ultimate reality in life. And life is always supported with material. So it definitely believes in body and soul, and body as material and soul as life, consciousness. The two of them complement each other, they live together, the body parts away at a particular point of time, whereas the soul continues its journey, transmigrates from one body to another. So the cover changes, the outer cover changes, but the inner self continues its journey until it will achieve moksha or liberation. And is it only for people and human beings like you and me? No. Jainism believes that every uh, life around you, animals, birds, nature, and nature will include all fire, It will include water, it includes earth, it includes plant, and it includes air. Every part of the nature that we see, and whether animals, pashu, pakshi, birds and animals, and human being, manushya, all have got an equal capacity to achieve nirvana, to achieve moksha. And Jainism believes in life and soul in every of this being. It is depending on the karma of oneself that the cover, the body, the physical self keeps changing. The physical aspect of the self keeps changing. So naturally, with good karmas, the body goes to the higher self, and that is Panchindriya with five senses, that is the human. Human being is considered to the highest level of transmigration. So it definitely considers equal capacity in the elements of nature, what we call it, or are surrounding around us, and the animals. It considers all having an equal life, an equal soul, capacity of achieving moksha. But if you look at the levels, human being is given the highest level. Why? Because human being has got man, it has got a mind. Along with the five senses, it has also got a mind. This is what makes the difference. A human being is able to understand, is able to evaluate, even right now, whether what I'm listening, is it the right thing? I'm right now connected to a particular session. Is this the right session that I'm in? Is this what I'm hearing is appropriate for me? Or when you're sitting, maybe in a bar, or maybe you're sitting in a pub, you would know, if you ask yourself, you will get the answer. The whether it is right or no, that is the right understanding which comes from your soul. And are you comfortable or not comfortable is the questions that one has to ask oneself. So when we are talking about human being has the capacity to think, to understand, to acquire the right understanding. Whereas because we have this capacity, there are moments where we indulge into wrong understanding, into activities which are of the wrong understanding. We have a choice to make between the two. Whereas if you look at nature, you look at animals and birds, they are already in harmony. They are living together, complementing each other. Human being is the only being which not necessarily complements the other living being and other human being also. Although it is considered the highest because it has got the capacity, the only human being has the capacity to self-realize, to achieve moksha. But at the same time, it is the human being which also creates more and more transmigration for itself. So in Jainism, it is said to respect each soul. You and me, whether it's Dr. Peter, whether it's Dr. Adil, or whether it's Ela, all have got an equal soul, equal capacity to migrate, transmigrate. But what each one does is up to each one. And therefore, respect each one, respect the other. Don't misunderstand, don't misunderstand, misinterpret their behavior, because we do not know what was the thought process behind what they have done. If I had to give you an example, just to give you a small example, a woman is lying down on a bed, on a wet bed, on the wet side of the bed. You may say that she's a mad woman, but if you go more, which as a human being, you may have a sense to see that there is a child sleeping next to her. And the area on which she's sleeping, that is the only area she has. And she has put the child on the dry side of the bed and she's put herself on the wet side because that was the only choice for her. Now, in this case, you will see that the woman has the right understanding and she has taken the child with respect. She's taken care of the child. So Jainism says that each one of us have an answer within us. We all have answers to our own karmas. We decide our actions, we decide our thought processes, to put your thoughts into negative direction or to put your thoughts into positive direction. I'm sure everyone over here had a choice on a Wednesday morning to go to a mall or to sit at home and just listen to music or to sit and listen to these talks on the interfaith religious faith dialogue which talk about nation building. And I'm sure the answer to your soul you have received, and that's how we are all here. So human is considered the highest in the order because of the five senses and the mind that I've been repeatedly talking about. Jainism believes strongly in the karma theory. It believes that Atma is fully responsible, soul, Atma, self, is fully responsible towards its own karma. Atma is the doer and the bhokta of the fruits of its own karmas. We say Atma nitya che, Atma karta che, Atma bhokta che. That means it is the doer and the enjoyer of its own fruits. Ahimsa, Sanyam, and Tap. That is, Ahimsa is the non-violence. Sanyam and Tap. Sanyam is the sacrifice or you can say the self-constrained life that one lives. And Tap is the fast of mind and body, which one does. These are the three pillars which it considers very important. I'm just giving a little base of Jainism before I actually go to nation building. Jnana, Darshan, and Charitra. Jnana is the knowledge of self. Darshan is the belief. And Charitra, that is, Darshan is the trust, the belief, the right understanding. And Charitra is the actions, the behavior. All these are the three jewels of Jainism. Charitra will, of course, include the control of passions. Passions like Krodh, Man, Maya, Lobh, anger, ego, manipulation, and greed. There are many words to the four things. I'm just giving the simplest words for everyone. So it's up to us whether to get angry or to love. And those who have been the self realized souls have chosen to work on love, compassion. There is a choice whether we want to live in ego or whether we want to live in simplicity. We want to live without abhiman, without man. Whether we want to live a simple life or whether we want to live in ego. There are so many families we know, there are so many friends we know that they would not be talking to each other. And even if they think that they should talk to each other, there is something that is resisting them. There is something that they're not able to talk to each other because there is a big ego, a mountain of ego between them. Now, if there is a very simple solution, you just go and talk to the person and just apologize, you just ask forgiveness. And religion has given you many days. Every day, Jainism tells you morning and evening, there are 2 times where you sit for asking for forgiveness. And it gives you several occasions like Paryushan and many such days where you actually go and you apologize for your realize your mistakes and apologize for them with the opponent person. So it tells you to live a life of simplicity, manipulation, whether you want to manipulate every occasion of in which you are for personal gain or you want to live a life which is straight. Greed, that is lobh. This is a very big topic and we are all engaged in this. We all want a good profession. First we want a good education, then we want a good profession. For what? To earn more, maybe to begin with for a rented house, for some X number of clothes, or for X number of shoes. And then we grow and grow. As we get that, we say, no, now I need a bigger house. Then it goes on, it goes to a bigger flat from 1,000 square feet to 1,500 to a bungalow, and it goes on. Entire life is spent only in building a house. We are all aware of it. Once we have the clothes, we say now branded clothes, then the number of clothes. If we sit and count, of course, we can count the number of clothes, but still, we will all say, oh, it's too much. It's very difficult to count the number of shoes or the clothes. So greed is constantly there. We are all engaged constantly in collecting physical facilities in our life, whether it's an air condition, a sofa, or whatever. Whereas Jainism said, come out of this lobe. This is the most difficult to give up. Even the ones who have renounced and who have lived a self-realized life, the last thing that they have been able to come out of is lobe, is to give up. It's not only the material things. Greed is for many things. Greed, lobe is for many things, material and non-material. So if all these three, Krodh, Man, Maya, Lobh, if all these four are in control, I'm sure you would be able to tell me whether there will be harmony and peace or whether there will be disharmony and unhappiness. Can you put it on the chat box? What do you think? Will there be harmony, happiness, or will there be disharmony and I think there's somebody wanting to say something. Yes, Dr. Adil says extremely engaged, very relevant to the topic. Thanks. Okay. This is for Dr. Adil. So, if one looks at the four passions that we are all engaged in, whether it's Krodh, Man, Maya, or Lobh, these are the four that we are constantly engaged in. Our entire life is spent onto this, whereas the realized souls have spent the entire life, maybe sometimes in jungles, maybe in the mountains, maybe, without any possession, even without clothes, with minimalistic clothes, with minimal food, and everything alone, because they wanted to introspect. This is possible even when we are living together, if we follow the right path of Jainism, which talks about overcoming the passions in our life. Just to say one very important point that is there in Jainism is Virodh Rajya Karma. We can also commit sins or we can gather negative karmas if we do not follow the law of the land, if we are away from the state or the country law. And in this, we also have a entire book published, which is written by the earlier thinkers, and this is called Marganusari, Na Chotris Bol. There are 34 topics under Marganusari, where they say before you even become a layman, a Jain layman, a Shravak or a Shravika, you have to have some prerequisites. And in this prerequisites, they talk about Nitivan, that is ethics, Nyay, that is, we all know, it is judiciary, discipline. Then you have discipline in marriage, it goes ahead. To be cautious about the wrong, to be pro nation, to be pro state, to be pro location, avoid finding faults in others, to be a good neighbor, to continue with satsang with people with positive right understanding, taking care of the parents, renouncing and sacrificing wherever possible, spending within one's own limit, not indulging into borrowing and loans. It also talks about modest clothing. It talks about positivity and straight life, not to indulge into popularity, to use intellect in the right way, self-reflect constantly, give donations, keep helping people who are in need. We do have Greta, whom we have heard a lot on global warming, but we all know that nature has been a very important concern and a thought process in the Jaina philosophy. And it constantly talks about nature. So, just to give you all a few examples, the Jain philosophy talks about controlling the use of your daily requirements in life, like you be careful while you're using the water. You can brush your teeth with ample water and you can brush your teeth with a glass of water. You can have a flowing tap of water or you can have a glass of water. So Jainism talks about using minimalistic water for bathing, for washing, reusing the water wherever possible. If I have washed some fruits in some water in one container, I can use that same water to wash my vegetables also. And if I'm using 3 waters, I can use the same 3 waters to wash the two things together. So basically, it is caring for water in your life while we are cooking, to see to it that you are controlling the flame as required, to use the electricity as much required, to convert to solar or some natural resources wherever possible. Basically, conservation of nature in every way, not harming the plants, not cutting the plants, especially in Jainism, it is also said that those plants having roots do not uplift the plant from the root because the entire plant is destroyed. Whereas you can just take the fruits of it or the leaves of it as whatever is required. We have a very good, an epic behind the whole thing where we say the six men and the jamun tree, where the six men all are hungry and they're all in the jungle and they all want to eat something. There was a jamun tree. One of the person who was there, he started picking up the berries, which were the jamuns, which were there below on the floor. He picked those up. The other one went to the bunches of the jamun tree. He picked up the bunches from the jamun tree. The third one went onto the tree and cut the stalk and put it down, and then from that he took it. The fourth one cut the main branch and then took it. So this way they went on, and the sixth one cut the whole tree, uprooted the tree, and had the jamuns. All the six people had to fill their stomach with the jamuns, and they had a limited capacity to eat. They could not have eaten unlimited. All the six of them required to fill their stomach, but all the six used a different way of filling their stomach. What one did was just picked up what was fallen, what was not going to be used otherwise, and which would have got decayed otherwise. And somebody else said, why not just pick up as much as I require? So it all depends on the mind, the man. And what is going on in the mind is also shown in your actions. It's also shown in your expressions. It is observed, it is seen. So the physical side of it is already seen. When you're angry, your eyes getting red, your eyebrows raised, a frown on the face. It is seen in the physical self. But internally, in the self, there is no happiness. There is unhappiness. There is disharmony. Because it is a very momentary happiness, even if it is. Maybe a glass of hard drink may give some momentary satisfaction. But is it giving you continuous happiness? No. So, this is a question that we all need to ask ourselves based on Jainism. Keep evaluating your own thought process, because if you evaluate your thought process and you are with an objective of creating harmony within yourself, with the people around you, and with the society at large and the nation at large. If you keep wanting to create harmony, harmony also multiplies. Because if you are happy, you will spread the happiness around you. If you're angry and you've shouted at someone or you have shown your tantrum on someone, that person may not be able to throw it back to you because you may be a parent or you may be a boss or whatever. But that person is going to throw it onto somebody else. And it is going to pass on and on and on. In the same way, positive deeds also pass on. There are innumerable videos today to show us this in real life also. So the point is, how does a human being keep reflecting and keep evaluating the activities that one is engaged in? It talks about limiting your clothes, limiting the amount of drive that you go for, using basic amenities to walk your 2 foot rather than using a vehicle. If you're using a vehicle, okay, go for public transport, not for private. So if you look at each activity that Jainism focuses on, it talks about, it does lead to nation building. Because as Gandhiji put it, that there is enough for all, but there is not enough for the greed for all. So we know that our food production in the world is at least 6 times more than what is actually the requirement. This is the reality. This is the statistics. It's the world statistics. If it is 6 times more, why is it not reaching to so many people in our own nation, in so many other developing countries, underdeveloped countries? Why is food not reaching them? Why is it there are countries which don't have water? And why is it there are countries which are overflowing with water and abusing water? So, as is very rightly said, that there is enough for everyone's need, but not enough for everyone's greed. Where does this message start from? Is it an advice to someone or is it for ourselves? This is what Jainism talks about, that you have to correct your life. You have to evaluate your own life, self reflect, self explore. What you are indulging into, is this what you really wanted? You're not going to reach the highest state on the very first day, but start your process right from day one. And that is why, even from childhood, if these values are inculcated, that's why we focus on these kind of values right from the childhood. So probably a child may say, no, I don't eat underroots, but may not understand why. But gradually, as the child grows, 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, parents do explain uprooting a plant is wrong. Removing a plant for your own self is wrong. There is so much enough for you, even besides that. It's just a principle. Not everybody is going to follow it, not everybody is able to follow it. Everybody will follow it when they are able to self reflect. So I may have a sibling who is not eating underroots, and I may have a sibling who's eating underroots. That's okay. We are no one to evaluate another one. We have to evaluate ourselves, but we are always indulged into evaluating what others are doing. We are always indulged into what others should not do, and we are missing out on what they have already done. So if everyone gets into this mode of understanding, tell me whether there would be a nation where there would be terrorism, whether there would be robbery, whether there would be rape, whether there would be injustice. Would we have a country of that? Would we have a nation of that? Or would we have more peace, more compassion? What would we have? What do y'all think? Would there be more harmony if everyone lived a life which is simple? Everyone lived a life which is without manipulation. Everyone lived a life with simplicity. Everyone lived a constrained life to begin with and to end with. If everyone lived in a very constrained life and followed the principles of Jainism, I'm talking about including me, it's not excluding me, it's including me too. If all of us had followed this kind of lifestyle, which is proposed by the Jaina thinkers of the past, those who have achieved the ultimate reality. We all know Christ has achieved it. We all know Buddha has achieved it. We all know there's so many achieved lives in all the different religions. And what is the path they have followed? Each and everyone has followed the path of love, compassion, simplicity, uh, giving, donating. They have followed the path not of self accumulation, not of self, you can say, glorification, not of self beautification, not of self, you can say, it's not something which has lived in comfort, but they have gone through sacrifices. They have, uh, you can say, not only sacrifice, even the ones who have done bad, even the ones who have done ill towards them, they have gone a step ahead of that, and they have even, you can say, not only forgiven them, but they have given their love to them, they have given their compassion to them. This includes all the liberated souls from whichever spiritual path they have followed. And there are innumerable paths. We may say that my religion or my spirituality is the best, but I would say that spirituality is best, which has followed the path of that spiritual soul and is able to progress in life in the way of giving compassion, in the way of creating harmony, in the way of creating more happiness, because continuous happiness is something which is not easy to find. I may be happy at the end of this lecture. Maybe you are happy at the end of this lecture. Next minute, we will have some other papers to work on. We may have something else, and our happiness is discontinued. But happiness will continue if I continue in this state, if you continue in this state. Therefore, harmony is only possible when we will be looking at some positive growth within ourselves. You can say upgradation of the soul, or living in the with the right understanding, which is the most important. And living with the right understanding will come with the right thinking. And therefore, having the right understanding and living the right understanding are three different things, two, three different things. And therefore, we begin with the right understanding. We then go to our thought processes taking shape of words and alphabets. And that is why we don't throw anger to people, we don't throw abuses to people, we don't throw neglect to people, we don't throw misgivings to people, and we move towards a better character and better behavior, where we actually go into the act of helping, we go into the act of dealing with the opposite person as my equal. If I had to say that everyone is like me, where is the question of boss and employee? Then there would be no harassment, there would not be any oppression, there would be more respect for each other, and probably there would be enough for everyone to live a very happy life. We know there are people who don't have a house. We are aware there are people who don't have food, who don't have water. And at the same time, we are all aware there are people who have more and more and more and still want more, because the physical facility, the greed for physical facility, lobe, which is krodhman maya lobe. Krodhman maya will be won, but lobe to win is very, very difficult. And we have to work on that to the maximum. So if greed is one, I'm sure all the other passions will also be in control. And therefore, it talks about physical fasting. It talks about even the mental controlling. Talks about maun vrat, that is talking less. When you're talking less, you're thinking more, you're doing more self reflection. So it has an impact on each other. So we cannot take one act as an individual act. This is all connected. It's all connected, ultimate to the path of compassion, of creating harmony within self and within others. And I'm sure with this kind of life that we are discussing right now, it won't be difficult to achieve moksha. But yes, many of us, even including so many saints, whether they are in the Jaina sect or whether they are in any other sect, we know that they are also not liberated. They are also working towards it. So it is not impossible to work even when we are in our regular sansari life. But it all depends on how we are able to work towards self. So more than the happiness, if I may go to Tokyo or Kyoto or wherever, and I may get happiness, but that will last only for a week or 10 days or 15 days, and I will forget as the years pass off. But if I have spent more time on working on myself, and if I've grown in my internal self in the area of happiness, I'm sure that happiness will grow, and I would definitely become a better person as the years pass by. And there would be tricks that I would learn to give myself continuous happiness. So I would like to just wind up by saying that Jainism talks a lot about self reflection, self behavior, self. It is, it's all about uh, you could say Gnan Darshan Charitra. So Gnan is very important. Darshan, that is the right faith on all this, is important. Whether we believe that yes, living this life, it is a lifestyle. It's not a religion from the point of view. Many of them may have taken it as a ritual, but Jainism is not a ritualistic. It's not it's a way of life actually. So if one takes the right knowledge, right Gnan, and believes, has the right faith on it, darshan, because once you experience, you will believe in it. It will definitely come to character. If I am taking care of my parents, my right understanding within myself is yes, I have to take care of them. That is the gnan, the knowledge. And I will start believing if that is giving me happiness and I will take care of them, that will come to my character. So Gnan, Darshan, Charitra are the three most important jewels. So nation is later, but first is you and your family, taking care of your own family, your own siblings, avoiding all the tiffs and the wars within the family, creating more happiness and harmony within family, within friends, with neighborhood, and with the society where we are living. And of course, all this will then multiply and definitely reach the nation. If each one of us take this responsibility of living this kind of life, that's all Jainism is all about. Thank you so much.